There is a new groundbreaking show called Push Girls about four women who are friends. Why is this show groundbreaking, you ask? Well, the women are in wheelchairs, and it is the first show of its kind. Now, I myself use a wheelchair, and not for pleasure, but for necessity, because, well, there are those that are into that kind of thing. But we'll get into the topic a little bit later. So, I'm a little torn in my opinion of the show because I don't know if it's reality or a reality show. This show claims to be a documentary series, but then again, the Blair Witch Project, it claimed to be a documentary film. Now, let's define what I mean. A documentary series is supposed to follow people's lives as they happen. A reality TV series, for the most part, involves casting, multiple takes, instigating producers, causing throwdowns between the friends on the show. Whichever the show really is, the bottom line is it needs to hold your attention by having interesting and entertaining characters and a storyline that leaves you wanting to tune in the next time. This show does accomplish that. You have four interesting, good-looking women, which already helps break a stereotype of what a disabled woman looks like. And it doesn't hurt that one of them is a blonde bisexual bombshell. This will help the straight male audience demographic. Husbands will be more than happy to watch this show with the wife. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm raining on anyone's Cheerios, but there are some things in the show that make you go, you have to wonder, whenever a camera crew is around, does it alter the space-time continuum? For example, one of the women is a dancer. She became paralyzed at some point, but she still does do wheelchair dancing. At some point, she decides to enter a ballroom dancing competition where she is the only person in a wheelchair, and she wins. This does beg a few questions. Did she win because she was the best, or was she being judged on her spirit and guts and not her dancing ability? Or did she win because there was a camera crew there? Now, I've often noticed when someone on these shows takes part in a competition, they win, and you have to wonder why in some cases. Now, before you start hating me, when I was in college, I was the only contestant in a wheelchair full of able-bodied women. Then I was invited on the Howard Stern show, and I was surprised when he debated me on if it was fair for me to have been in the pageant. His point being that the judges may have scored me higher because they felt sorry for me. For a split second, I was annoyed, but then I realized it was a reasonable question. I still feel there was no reason for me not to enter the pageant because I wanted to be judged fairly. And I feel the same thing about the wheelchair dancer chick. My issue is, can the judges do their job and are not be influenced by a camera crew or someone's personal story? The show does do a great job of showing what each woman is going through, but in this case I felt cheated as an audience member. They didn't show enough of her dancing or the other competitors, so I could judge if I felt like she was the best. Also, I wanted to see the judges' faces at some point so I could see if they were judging her or inspired by her. I think this was one of those show moments that should have been given a little more time so we could even just appreciate her dancing skill. Because she is a good dancer. Now, don't get me wrong, the show is great, and I'm into it, and I think it's a great platform to give a voice for the disabled community. But there are some things I want to see in it. So far, for example, I've not seen any of these women have to go through the hassle of the incompetent health aid situation. The neglect, the emotional abuse that most people with disabilities experience with home care. Come on. It's the only kind of abuse that I can say is sometimes both sad and strangely funny at the same time. I think to this show, this aspect would hold the audience's attention, but would be a big eye-opener. The show is making a great effort to demonstrate how normal the women's lives are, despite what the disability puts them through, but it's still too easy. As an audience member and as a disabled insider, I want to see the struggle, and then I can appreciate the triumph even more. I hate to say it, but it's human nature to want someone to struggle, almost fall, and somehow win the battle. Look at most movies. The Rocky moment. Well, as someone who is in a wheelchair, I can tell you there are so many more layers to life with a disability. Being disabled is an everyday struggle. You are often surrounded by ignorance, incompetence, and even fetish fascination. Oh yeah, I'm not joking. But I'll get into what that's all about on my next Push Girls review.